video series on practical things you can do right now, today, to help your kids learn to swim faster than ever before. So 3 tips that we're going to go over today. And I want you to focus on this if you have a child that has any type of anxiety whatsoever. Now, disclaimer, obviously you never want to turn your back on a child anytime you're around the water, anytime you're around a pool. That is absolutely imperative to understand that there is never a time where a child should not be supervised around the water. And if you think that you're going to be distracted even for a second, then it's okay to put on a life vest. But in general, when you're practicing swimming skills, you want to avoid flotation devices, especially floaties. Those are really bad. Any type of flotation that is going to float your student in an upright position where the legs are below them is not going to help them. If anything, it's going to make it more difficult for them to learn to swim and actually cause more anxiety because they're going to feel like they're being pulled down. That is really what they're reacting to. It's a fight or flight type of response when a child is at that level 10 or close type of crying. Now, I'm talking about hysterical crying. I'm not talking about a control type of crying. There is a type of crying that kids will do to get what they want, and it works, so they continue to do it. The way you test this is whenever you have a child that is in that hysterical level 10 range, you want to hold them very tight. Make sure you put pressure under their feet because you want to give them support underneath them to make them feel more secure, like they're not falling, and get them to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to get, and what will happen if they're in a panic state, fight or flight, they will not even be able to count. You want to get them to a point where they can, because that's going to help them to control their anxiety, okay? So that's number 1. You want to make sure that if your child is having a level of anxiety and reacting to the water in a negative way, crying, especially if they're hysterical, you want to hold them very tight. You want to give them support underneath their feet. And then you're going to get them to count. Number 2 is you're going to need to get them to be desensitized to the water environment in general. So 2 main things that cause kids and everyone else not to be able to swim is buoyancy, how the water holds you, the feeling of falling, fight or flight, and the sensation of the water on your face and being able to go underwater without any type of panic. That it takes time, especially if a child is starting older, learning to swim. So you can do this by playing games and doing just a little bit of splashing, and always do it on 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it on yourself. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing to your student, you're doing to yourself. That's going to make it fair, and it's going to help them to comprehend exactly what's going on. And you got to make it fun. It's raining. Make it rain. Make it rain. Make it rain. If you can, pick up the squirting skill, that is probably one of my best tricks. Any type of water splashing that's going to be a lot of fun is going to help them a ton. So water sensitivity, lots of splashing, and make sure that if they're starting to really get anxious, you hold them underneath their feet and give them a real tight squeeze. Typically you want to hold them underneath their arms and let them kind of swim in front of you or beside you with your hands underneath their arms. But if they're really anxious, you're going to need to put pressure under their feet and give them just a little bit of squeeze. And then the same kind of pressure technique helps with the water sensitivity. So if a child gets water on their face and they panic and they start to freak out, then you can have them or you just push against their face. It helps with the sensory sensitivity. So it really helps a lot. So number 1, make sure that if they're panicking, that you give them that support underneath them and get them to calm down by counting, and then put them back into a swim position. Number 2, you want to make sure that they're able to be desensitized to the water in a fun way. Make it rain. Number 3, you want to put it together. So how do you get a child to be comfortable with the water sensitivity and the water in their face and the feeling of falling? Well, you do those 2 skills separately, and then you are going to try to put it together. So let's say you have them close to you, you're holding underneath their body, and you have them standing on your legs. Any type of support underneath their feet is going to help them feel much more secure. And then you get them to count. You can get them to count 1, 2, 3, 4. As soon as you get them to count, try to get them to count to 10. Then you're going to slowly try to get them off of your shoulders and get them out in front of you, floating in front of you in your hands. Now, if they start to stand up, then you want to maybe let them stand on your legs a little bit if they're starting to panic. But typically, you just want to really kind of give them a little bit of support underneath their body and kind of keep their legs behind them and just really give them support any way you can. I do this a lot when I'm doing a swim lesson with somebody who has anxiety about the feeling of falling. I'll put my leg underneath their legs and helps them give a little bit more support. I also think it's very smart to do fives. You take one hand off, give me five. Five over here. If you take one hand off, you can still support them. They're going to be buoyant. You're going to be able to hold them there with one hand and give them a five. And that's fun. And then you start to realize, oh yeah, the water's holding me. You also need to associate, you need to show them, hey, look at the stuff around here. What is this doing? It's floating. It's floating. This is what happens when you're in the water. You float just like the noodle or the kickboard or that boat or whatever that they like to play with. They can associate. We got to give kids credit more so than what I think we do. Very, very smart. And association and play is how they learn. So you want to get them to feel the buoyancy. Give them fives. Associate things that are floating. And then you want to do splashing. 1, 2, 3, pour right on their face. 1, 2, 3, pour. Give me five. Give me five. 1, 2, 3, pour. These are action steps that you can do today that's going to make the difference between your child learning to swim and be comfortable and then get to the point where they're actually able to be independent and safe or safer than they could be otherwise, or getting to the end of the summer and being frustrated with your 3 or 4-year-old or 5 on up and they're still very anxious around the water. Don't just depend on a swimming instructor to do what needs to be done to get your child to swim. The reality is that if you don't practice or you don't know how to practice, you're not going to get the results that you're after. So please subscribe. Join us here at the Swim Lesson Club USA. Visit us at our website, swimlessonclubusa.com. And we love to interact with you. We love to be able to help you. Even if you send me a video of how your child's reacting in the water, I will comment. I will help. It is so very important to me that we help to impact these drowning statistics that are just completely unnecessary. The leading cause of death for kids under the age of 5 should not be drowning. But if you learn how to practice, your kids might just swim out of your hands. So thank you for joining us at Swim Lesson Club USA, Swim for Life, and hope to see you next time.